I love the haircut.
I have the perfect life. A pre-2019 socioeconomic background. Nice suburban house. A strong, independent woman who, although looks kind of like a duck, is fortunately for me, also a bad judge of character because she married me. You see, I'm addicted to chems. Hence the scabby dermis. We have this stash in the other room and an alarm that sounds like a baby crying. The stash is this thing right here. It might look like a baby, but it is not. That's because it is an animated leather sack that is absolutely filled to the brim with various, time frame appropriate chems, such as pre-war jet, Nora's roids, and a little bit of the cannibal cabbage, you know, the devil's lettuce. Anyway, there was a door knocker who was asking for my full legal name, max bench press, 3 digits on the back of my card, and my tax file number. Instead of exercising my constitutional rights as they do over in California by blowing this guy 12 feet back with a shotgun for standing in my front lawn, we let him know that we are super smart, lucky that we are alive and not consumed by Nora for protein, and are not legally blind. Then we left home to go for a walk down to the park. Nora tells me she loves me.
We love you too.
And the words leaving her cinder block-like head actually destroys the world via World War III. So we go into the vault, get frozen, and I uncover this crazy conspiracy. You see, Nora is awake when Kellogg and the scientists open her pod. They snatch Sean, which as you all know is just our leather sack filled with pre-war chems. And Kellogg fires a blanket at her, evidenced by how she is still alive in a pod right afterwards. I open a pod to see if anything fell out of the sack that I might be able to salvage.
Oh God!
Alas, no. But imagine my surprise when I explore the rest of the vault and I find a whole bunch of chems on the floor. That's wild. How did this get here? So the premise of this run is simple. I've modified the effects of chems to be a fair bit longer at 5 minutes for Jet and 10 minutes for Psycho. With a rule being that I have to have the chem effect applied to myself at all times, otherwise I die. And to balance that, I've set the difficulty to max, and I've also reduced my health to 10. Because I have the frail constitution of... Look, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I had this whole set of rules to make this quite difficult and balance things out, but let me tell you, I just really wanted to see what this playthrough would look like, while permanently chemmed up. And, For full transparency, this is really a goofy video, thinly veiled as a challenge. I could have pretended, you know, I could have sat here and been like, hey, it was difficult, you know, like, but yeah, the hardest part was probably just aging rapidly while the world moved very slowly around me. What happened? What happened to the world, Codsworth?
What happened to the world? He's gone. God damn it. Someone took him. Someone stole my son!
Hey, did Codsworth just belch in my face? So we explode some flies all over the place and abandon Codsworth because the guy's literally just a household appliance and I'm not high enough to carry a toaster around with me down to Concord.
Happy? This whole thing was a waste of time.
So we get to Concord. Oh no, I'm sobering up! That's better. And because everything is so slow, I have plenty of time to land my shots and plenty of time to avoid damage, so really having 10 health is going to be of no consequence as I effortlessly and flawlessly dodge every enemy with godlike precision. So we clear the town and rescue Preston, and you can tell he's rescued because he says this to us. Yeah, me too, Preston, I agree. I hop across from the church to the roof of the museum using my immense chem-induced strength. I'm sorry, I'm aware these clips take forever to watch, but you know, here we are. Hey, you clicked on it, it's your fault. I clear the place of bandits, making sure I don't fully sober up by re-jetting myself while simultaneously beating this bandit to death with my ranged projectile weapon. Because after all, it's important we huff the jet lest our heart violently explodes from withdrawal, killing us instantly. I rescue Preston and the gang, and I find this comic book and say, oh.
I have my own problems.
Yeah, Garvey, I got my own problems. Okay? You keep me out of this. Do you have any jet? Oh no, I'm sober! Did you just poke me?
I like it.
I introduced myself to the other members of Preston's gang. I also spoke to Mama Murphy, but I hate her, so I'm going to edit her out at every opportunity, purely out of spite. I grab the minigun and move Preston out of the way so that I can deal with the raiders. I turn the Deathclaw into goo, and out of curiosity I've sped this up to see how this would have looked from the Deathclaw's perspective. That's wild. I go back inside to speak to Preston, but Mama Murphy is talking, so I bash her in the head to make her stop. The camera gets really close to my face as I go and tell Preston that I do not care about him or his people. It's then Mama Murphy's time to talk. With our path clear, we move on south to Diamond City in search of our leather bag full of pre-war chems. And when I say move south, I mean very, very slowly. I've been running for 9 hours, so to break up the monotony, I speak to Trash Can Carla.
Your money, all of it, now.
I find Wolfgang and the Wolfgang outside the Drumlin Diner. I shotgun blast Wolfgang in the head to no reaction. He empathizes with me. I am moved to tears, so I agree to massacre the diner for him, my king. For he understands me. I punch Trudy's whole head off her body in front of her son Patrick, and then proceed to zip around him while he bargains with God for mercy. But he is not dealing with God. He's dealing with me. I continue south to Diamond City for 40 days and 40 nights, occasionally doing a pair of sick 360-degree spins just to spit in the face of reality. I outrun all the hazards of the world with ease. For I am addicted to performance-enhancing substances. After several weeks, I reach Diamond City, and I gaze upon Piper, my beloved, still wearing that cap to hide the absolute landing strip of a forehead she has. I attempt to skip her dialogue by bashing her, but after putting my weapon away, she does not unaggro, and deploys every aircraft she has hiding under her hat to decease me. Being the stubborn old junkie I am, I shoot her from slightly further away, and this works. This is simply one of those Toddisms for which I have no explanation. Anyway, we run past Foreheads McGee and go straight into Valentine's office. I announce myself to Ellie Perkins by screaming at the back of her head. But the reason we're here is to pick up the quest to find Nick Valentine to continue the main quest. However, Ellie's been hitting the Yappuccino, so I slam her with my weapon to cancel her dialogue.
I'll find him. You have my word.
You're welcome. I run for a very long time in the general direction of Nick Valentine's whereabouts, occasionally stopping to shoot some bandits with my hand-cranked laser musket, which takes so much longer than is necessary to fire. It makes me incredibly sad, but you know, it's the things we fill up the lengthy travel time with in an attempt to turn this whole thing into an experience that isn't going to be just the most boring thing I've ever done. Such as, but not limited to, deliberately waking up Swan. Although, really, I should have known better. In part due to the fact that I had absolutely neglected to consider that the next area was going to be stacked with enemies. So here I am, about to broadcast the most agonizingly slow yet extremely impressive problem solving of a man blasted by Jet and Psycho. Hey, I just got my hand crank laser. Who out here cranking they shit? Oh. Whoa, hey. Makeshift bomb. Just everyone calm down, okay? If I can't kill them, I can just trap them. I've done this before. It's easy. So without exaggeration, I think it would be important to let you all know that I spent an hour down here crawling through the subway, getting prolapsed at every possible moment. The strategy ranged from using stealth to using melee, like in the case with Dino right at the end here. I went with melee, and the sound of my varnished mahogany bat against the whale-calling-like voices in the background of Valentine trying to speak with Dino brings me a measure of calm. And using that calm and the saturation of actual chemicals in my bloodstream, I can adjust my strategy to the versatility of literally jumping around all over Dino, absolutely dazzling him with pure speed. Out of curiosity, I've sped this up to actually show you just how ridiculous this is.
Give Skinny Malone more time to think about how he's gonna bump you off. Out, you knucklehead!
My man got styled by Sonic the Chemhog, god damn. I put my skill points into Commando, Agility, Gun Nut, Sneak, and Chemist, and set my health back to 10 and speak to Valentine. Talk to me, Nick. Nick, please talk to me. Oh god, you're really quite scary, Nick. Talk to me, Nick.
The bastard who shot my wife took my son. I don't even have a clue who he is or where he's gone.
No, I'm sobering up! Better. This is going to take so long. And it did. Due to lengthy segments where Nick would need to unlock a door, I would sit there spamming crouch to stave off the demons. And this whole segment took over 25 minutes. And of course, right at the end of this little dungeon is Skinny Malone and his crew. Yeah. Yeah, what do you have to say about that, Nick? Yeah. I'm going to enjoy caving her head in with a baseball bat. Okay. While it would have been fun to cave in Darla's head with a baseball bat, like I said, I did just end up hucking a bottle cap mine at them instead, and hiding behind a pillar to end the fight. This has the added bonus of absolutely blasting Nick back to factory settings. I head back to Diamond City to meet up with Nick, where we'll discuss the location of my leather sack with pre-war chems. I return to the agency, and Ellie and Nick are just looking at each other, while I'm just hanging out being all scabby and whatnot. I sit down for the interview with Nick about finding my son. I make my opening statement. Nick starts draining my life force by being slower than ever. I cooperate, obviously, because this is what must be done to find the sack.
You're one of them. They made you.
Alright, calm down.
No, I'm sobering up again! We need to search Kellogg's house in Diamond City, but I first sell everything I've looted to Mo. And then take my newfound wealth and find Solomon so I can blow it all on chems. I know they say you should never shop on an empty stomach, but I say it's fine to shop on fully syringed. Anyway, we need to search Kellogg's house, and to do that I need the key because I don't have bobby pins. So I take the elevator up to Mayor Donahue's house, where the key can be found. But as you all know, everything takes a very, very long time. This is because I'm on chems, you see. Don't do chems, kids. I put my whole hand inside Mayor Donahue's ass where he stores Kellogg's house key. I take a short ride back down the elevator. I'm in immense pain. I'm also acutely aware that there's another entrance into his office, but that requires walking outside of Diamond City, and for some reason the loading times is tied to the game speed, so it would have just taken longer anyway. So for now we're here. It's not that bad, right? Right? I break into Frosty's house. I take the cigar, and Valentine tells me he'll have his dog pick up the scent of the cigar. And so I leave with the cigar to find the man that killed my wife and took my pre-war chems. Finally, revenge will be all mine, and I'll be able to take the good shit again. I travel the wasteland for 1,000 years. I even get a good look at the wildlife. Now, depending on what type of bear this is, if I square up to it and become intimidating, it could retreat. I'm bunny hopping all over the place, but this isn't unusual for a Bethesda game that's so close to launch. Also, it fits because, you know, I'm on chems. You understand. I battle my way through the target location. It might seem as I uninstall Windows on this one synth to death that I am having a good time. And you're right. I die countless times, but this is fine because I am on the jet. And everything being really slow and goofy is deeply amusing to me. This is because I am a deeply flawed and simple individual. I roll back the last few drivers in the building. I have been here for over 35 minutes clearing the place, only to realize the elevator that was supposed to take down to the, deeper into the hideout is blocked off. This is because I've left without showing Dogmeat the cigar so he can pick up Kellogg's scent, which will lead him here where he'll pull out his little, dog deconstruction kit where he'll pull the plywood from the door frame, allowing me to pass. So I return to Diamond City where Dogmeat has stood here for multiple days and nights waiting for me to show him the cigar.
Dogmeat, get the scent, boy.
He then vomits. I return to Fort Hagen now that Dogmeat has fast traveled here and deconstructed the barrier, only to discover that the entire location has been repopulated with the enemies I spent so long destroying. I use the additional brain power the chems give me to unpredictably move and defeat the enemies. I start to beat this one enemy to death with a baseball bat when I hear the demon behind me. Don't be alarmed, that's only Dogmeat barking in slow motion. Very scary though. For the intimidation factor, why doesn't he bark in slow motion like that all the time? Is he stupid? Is that crusty farting sound Kellogg speaking over the intercom? Ah, yes. The strategy of shooting in a straight line. But have you seen this? Haha! I'm on performance-enhancing drugs, you see. Guy's straight up... He's straight up burping into the microphone. I know he's trying to be intimidating, but I'm on way too much sauce. Guy's actually just gurgling mouthwash. Guy's squeezing one out onto his pre-war Blue Yeti. Even when I get hit, it's like... Where's the speaker? He's hitting one on the floorboards or something. Guy's watching a crackhead on the cameras. Infiltrator's extremely well fortified in an advanced hideout, using like a hand-cranked laser musket and a bucket of jet. Hey, he just kicked Dogmeat. Oh my god, he's beating the shit out of my dog! Look at the blood coming out of this mechanical construct. God damn. You can drop your guts into the microphone all day for all I care. The time for bargaining is over. Also, you should get that checked, you sound terrible. Woof. I think I'm gonna dismiss Dogmeat. He's kinda like a cheat code, you know? He's so subservient. I haven't even said anything. He simply understands that my bloodstream is like detergent.
My wife. Took my son.
I understand. But have you considered?
Fuck you, Kellogg. Well, I'll find him. No matter what.
There he is.
Oh god, I'm sobering up. Look how judgmental he is. Look at it go. Whee! I loot Kellogg, including tearing out a part of his brain from his head for absolutely no reason. I use his private elevator to leave the facility. This takes over a minute and a half. I'm having the time of my life. I emerge outdoors to the Brotherhood of Steel arriving in the Commonwealth. Amazing. I return to Valentine's office to let him know Kellogg is dealt with. I skip Piper's irrelevant dialogue by caving her skull in by using this polished mahogany baseball bat. Bort Blorpin Jr. hates Piper. All of Bort Blorpin Jr.'s homies hate Piper. I let Valentine know that our son/leather sack of chems is hidden somewhere in the Institute.
Busy handing Sean over to the Institute.
Ugh, why is she looking at me like that? Ugh! Brother, ugh! Get out of my way, Nick. I bash Nick in the head one more time and head over to Dr. Amari's place, where we know she can do something with that piece of brain we tore out of Kellogg's head at one time for absolutely no reason other than the fact that we're unhinged and juiced up. And to see Dr. Amari, we have to go to this place called Good Neighbor, where there are thugs in the street trying to swindle me with their nondescript Jabba the Hutt sounds. Look, I have the constitution of someone the entire ensemble of the Avengers just visited in hospital. All he has to do is shoot me once. Is he stupid? I steal Cleo's mini-nuke and Fat Man launcher, because why not? I'll be responsible with it. And then I sprint through the memory den where Dr. Amari is. I like to think Irma must be absolutely terrified of this man that just sprints and jumps 12 feet into the air to land right in front of her, stare for a moment, then turn around and bash Nick in the head with a bat. The junkie goes downstairs and meets with Dr. Amari, who asks us to produce the piece of Kellogg's brain we tore out for no reason.
Could you say that like Dr. Frankenstein? Eagle, fetch me the brain.
Instead, I hand her this futuristic shrimp I picked up on the floor outside. I prepare Valentine for the piece of brain that is going to be interfaced into him. Bort Jr. watches on gleefully as Dr. Amari produces the shrimp from inside her ass cavity where she'd been storing it after I'd handed it to her. Yeah, not sure why there's that much flashing duck. It could just be a graphics card issue. So now the worst part of the run is going to happen. Now, on a gameplay level, doing the dream sequence in Kellogg's futuristic shrimp means we are sober. And only because the game imposes sobriety on us on a mechanical level. Now, I'd thought about performing a save warp to avoid this segment from happening, because if you're looking at this from a challenge perspective, and not on a this is a goofy idea, haha funny video level, this is where the run would be considered a failure. However, a wrong warp implies that we'd have to have progressed past this point in the first place. Which means just because it hasn't happened on screen doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? So instead I'm going to fall back on the excuse that, though the mind is clear during this segment, the body is very much still absolutely sozzled. On my way out of the memory den, I prank Valentine.
Hey, Valentine.
But what we are going to do next is find Virgil in the glowing sea, which is all the way on the other side of the world. As you all know by now, even though Bort Blorpin Jr. is having a great time not knowing where he is, I'm having to sit through pressing W for several multiple agonizingly slow minutes. As such, I wake Swan on my way through, despite my best efforts to outrun this rock. It is obviously a magnet for fuckheads. I run with the visibility of like 20 feet in front of me, and I consider that this may have been a mistake. But you know, if I didn't want this to happen, I might not have taken the drugs, and that, in the end, I hope is my message to you. Don't do them. Jet? Not even once. I strip naked to make sure I fully absorb as many rads as humanly possible on my trip through the glowing sea. I even walk barefoot through some radioactive poo sludge. It's this whole big thing. I find the Freako Atom people in the wastes. I locate the leader, Isolde. I scream in Isolde's face. I tag the Deathclaw outside of Virgil's cave, they're it, and then perform this mad 1080-degree spin and run away. I enter Virgil's cave, giggity, and appear right in front of him. That's wild, thanks Todd.
You have information I need.
It's kind of wild how this nude man is just prying information out of, I guess, one of the world's leading scientists by just dismissing every line of dialogue like, It must be the mewing. He's just straight up absorbing all of the burps of dialogue and understanding. All while holding and rotating a 200-pound piece of meat in his face. Fully clothed in my junky long johns, I am sent to find a courser who will have a chip that allows me to get into the Institute via teleportation or something. Now, the problem with this location is there are gunners, and as the name would imply, they have heaps of guns, and I only have 10 health. In light of this, would you believe me if I told you this was the easiest thing I've ever done? That I simply had to run past to win? No? Well, that would be correct, yeah. I'm lying to you. It became a stealth segment, the slowest stealth segment of my life. But I quite literally did do this to myself. I modified the jet files. I did this. The only joy I found was the goofy intercom voices and the rare segments where I'd be able to shoot people one-on-one by walking around them and just obliterating them. I was having a really good time, but also a really bad time. I guess you could call it a bood time. But I managed to get to the floor before the one the Corsair is on, despite my apparent lack of sober constitution. And then also managed to get to the floor with the actual Corsair on it, despite my apparent lack of sober constitution. Yeah, get over here, mate. Take these bullets directly to the cranium. No. Yeah, well, you know, blowing yourself up is absolutely what a junkie would do, I guess.
Yeah, gotta get a stealth kill by there. Yeah! Yeah, get him, mate. Yeah, I gotta reload. Oh, no, yeah.
Instead of using a stealth boy, why didn't you just take heaps of jet? Are you stupid? I released the prisoners from their bonds like a good jet enthusiast. Bort Blaubuller Jr. is a good, kind man, a gentleman. And with the Corsair chip in hand, I know just the place to go.
Next up, the railroad. Choo-choo.
A huge thank you to the patrons. You know, this last year and even beyond that, you've helped me a lot. I think I'd really be in some trouble were it not for you, so you have my sincerest thanks for all your support. For the rest of you, please like and subscribe. Give me some of that sweet, sweet engagement. If you're not sure what to comment, try this.
Oh.
I've recorded quite a bit more of this, so let me know if you enjoyed it, so we will continue it next time, or we might not. Okay, I don't know, you're like my boss, right? Oh.